This prison, located in Madagascar, Africa, is considered one of the most suffocating and horrifying prisons in the world. Inside, it is unbearably crowded, packed with people, and the hygiene conditions are simply appalling. The compound was originally designed to hold about 800 inmates, but more than 3,000 prisoners have been crammed in by force. In the common areas, all you can see is a sea of heads. The cell blocks are even worse, in some cells of less than 30 square meters. As many as 150 inmates are squeezed together. They are packed like insects, constantly bumping into one another. Because there are not enough beds, many prisoners can only sleep directly on the cold floor, pressed chest to back against each other. Even the chance to lie flat on their backs is a luxury. Every night, the cell leader arranges 2 chances for everyone to turn over. When the sound of clapping is heard, all inmates are allowed to change their sleeping position at the same time. Sometimes you can even hear a guard shouting in English, "Come on. Turn around." The inside of the cells is filthy beyond description, and the outside is a complete mess as well. Rats and cockroaches run everywhere, and fleas and lice crawl all over the prisoners' bodies. Worse still, the only food the government provides is a kind of cassava soup. Long-term malnutrition has led to all kinds of diseases spreading wildly, especially among the elderly, pregnant women, and children, those with the weakest immune systems. Once they fall ill, all they can do is endure the suffering and wait for death. Their eyes are dull and lifeless, and their faces are filled with despair. Under such harsh conditions, among the more than 50 prison documentaries that Captain Niu has commented on, this place truly deserves to be called the king of hellholes. He even tells the audience, "You must watch until the end, it will completely shatter your view of the world." Madagascar lies in the southeast of Africa, an island nation isolated in the Indian Ocean, surrounded by sea on all sides, with beautiful scenery. In theory, its tourism resources should be even richer than those of its neighbor Mauritius, which we talked about in earlier episodes. But the reality is just the opposite. Mauritius has relied on tourism to become the 3rd richest country in Africa, while Madagascar has gone downhill, with its economy ranked near the very bottom of the continent. Especially in the capital, Antananarivo, often shortened to Tana. The environment is so dirty and run down that it is hard to believe this is the capital of a nation. With the economy in decline, people grow poorer and poorer, and poverty in turn drives the crime rate to soar year after year. Antanamora Prison, located in the capital, is the largest prison in the area. A 21-year-old young man named Sakima was sentenced to 6 months in prison for robbery. This is his first time behind bars. From his constantly trembling hands and the confusion in his eyes, you can tell he is extremely nervous. Before he is taken inside, the guards conduct a detailed body search. Clothes, hat, pockets, backpack, everything is checked. They also order him to take off his belt, because in such a harsh environment, a belt can easily become a murder weapon or a tool for suicide. Of course, the prison offers a small, humane touch. When you are released, you can take your belt back, as long as you can find it among the thousands piled up on the shelf. After the search, the guards record his basic information. The way they keep records is extremely primitive: no computers, no printers. Everything is written by hand and stacked in piles on a shelf. This method is very risky, leaving aside how difficult it is to find the right file later. If there is a riot or a fire, those documents can be destroyed in an instant, and the inmates will literally become people with no legal identity. Then, under escort, Sakima steps through the main gate of the prison. He is terrified, because what awaits him inside is nothing less than hell on earth. This prison is known as one of the hardest places to survive in all of Africa, even in the world. Compared with it, those Russian prisons infamous for brutality, or the Japanese prisons renowned for strict, military-style management, are like little brothers. Dirt and overcrowding are the 2 keywords here. Anywhere you look, besides a sea of heads, you see rats, cockroaches and various small creatures scurrying around. If you are unlucky enough to be locked up here, you can truly say that living is worse than dying. After passing through the jam-packed courtyard, the new inmate is led to his cell block. The beds have been over capacity for a long time. Even the space under the beds is filled with people. Fortunately, after some rearranging, a small corner is freed up. This will be his new home. Although his sleeping spot is extremely basic, compared with what I see next, it is already not bad at all. Not far from him is another cell, a 30 square meter space stuffed with 150 inmates. Beds are stacked from top to bottom, plus people sleeping on the floor, making up 4 layers in total. Everyone sleeps squeezed together, using every last bit of space. The floor is also completely covered with bodies. Since they cannot lie flat, they all have to sleep on their sides, facing the same direction. Each night, they only get 2 chances to turn over. The cell leader wakes everyone at about 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. each time. The entire room turns over in unison. Only when they hear the sound of clapping are they allowed to flip to the other side. A 43-year-old man named Jinkala is lucky enough to live in this room. He is accused of embezzling public funds and is being held here awaiting trial. As a man who cares about his dignity, he cannot accept sleeping on the filthy floor. So, despite the huge financial pressure, he still spends a large sum to rent half a bunk from another inmate 65 yuan a week. He says that being squeezed is barely tolerable, but what he really cannot stand is the overpowering stench of sweaty feet and the disgusting smell from the toilet. Sometimes he is woken up in the middle of the night by a sudden wave of foul odor. Every morning at 6 o'clock, when the wake-up bell rings, more than 3,000 prisoners rush out of their cells like rats that have been locked up all night. After yet another sleepless night, Jinkala feels completely drained. Since coming here, he has only been able to sleep a maximum of 1.5 hours each night. He explains in English, "Since I've been here, I sleep 1 hour and 30 every night. No more." To make up a little bit for his exhausted body. No matter how bad things get, he still tries to buy a cup of coffee from the small prison shop, just to tease himself and lighten this unbearable life a little. The conditions inside the cells are terrible, and outside is no better. In this prison, the concept of hygiene simply does not exist. Everywhere you look, garbage and human waste are fermenting in the air. Rats and cockroaches race around. And fleas and lice are living happily on everything. In such an environment, infectious diseases like dysentery and plague spread wildly. There is a small clinic in the prison, but because there is no money for medicine, even the best doctor in the world sitting there would be useless. Sick inmates can only lie there and wait for death. The medical staff complain in English. "We don't have any medicine here. I have to stress this. We have received no medicine over the entire year." On top of all that, the food situation is also worrying. The food cooking in those big pots is the only meal of the day for more than 3,000 inmates. Boiled cassava. Cassava is the most common staple for the poor in Madagascar and many parts of Africa. It has the advantages of high yield, easy storage, and strong satiety, but its nutritional value is painfully low. In the storeroom you can see piles and piles of cassava filling the room. That is the free ration the government provides to the prisoners for 3 whole months. Because cassava is very hard, it usually has to be boiled for at least 4 hours before it can be eaten at all. No salt, no spices, no seasoning of any kind is added. It is 100% natural. 0 additives. To be honest, even pigs in my hometown would turn away from this stuff. Yet many prisoners treat it like treasure. Because if they miss this free meal, they will have to endure hunger for the next 24 hours. Of course, if someone outside can support them, life becomes a bit more bearable. Relatives are allowed to visit twice a week, and each visit lasts only 10 minutes. During that short time, they can bring some clothes, food, and money to help the inmates survive in this living hell. Jinkala, who is being held awaiting trial, finally gets a visit from his wife. Besides receiving some food and money, he also asks her to try to pull some strings outside and see if she can arrange for him to be released on bail. But while the dream is beautiful, reality is cruel. Just a few days later, his wife brings 2 bad news. First, their son has dropped out of school because the family can no longer afford the tuition. Second, he has been sentenced to 3 more months in prison. The reason is simple: if you want bail, you need money. The judge opened his mouth and asked for 3.500 yuan, about half a year's income for their family. Jinkela sinks into despair. In his eyes, this is a place where he does not even want to stay 3 more days, let alone 3 more months. His situation is already tragic enough. But compared to the next prisoner we are about to meet, it is still nothing. The old man in front of us is named Teliungbu, 75 years old. The oldest prisoner in this jail. Can you guess how many years he has been here? The answer is 38 years. Half of a person's life has been spent in a prison like this. Just thinking about it is heartbreaking. At this point, some people might ask, why doesn't he take a gamble and try to escape? In fact, many inmates have thought about it. But any violation of the rules in prison carries huge risks, and the punishments are extremely severe. Among them, the most feared is solitary confinement. The room with crumbling walls and peeling paint that you see is the solitary cell of this prison. Compared with the overcrowded cell blocks, it is truly hell within hell. There is no bed, no toilet inside. For 24 hours a day, eating, drinking, and relieving oneself all have to be done on the spot. The worst part is that the term is not 3 hours or 3 days, but a full 30 days. The old man standing here once had the honor of experiencing it. He says he divided the room into 2 corners, the northeast corner for eating, and the southwest corner for defecating. He used his right hand to eat and his left hand for the toilet. At first, it sounded like a reasonable plan. But after being locked up alone for so long, his mind began to break down. Several times he forgot which hand was which, and ended up vomiting on the spot. Life in this prison is unbearably harsh and painful. But if you commit crimes, you have to pay the price. Given Madagascar's national situation, these inmates are doomed to struggle on in this hellish world, living a life that is worse than death. Because their lives are so miserable. You who are watching this outside should treasure your own life even more. Cherish the peaceful days you have now. Obey the law, and be a good citizen. Okay, if you like this video, please like, follow and leave a comment. Prison Diary will take you to explore more about the world. See you in the next episode. Bye.